When I'm not developing a parasocial relationship with myself from having to edit all of these videos, I like to answer questions and comments get on YouTube, so let's get to it. It would be really helpful if you could kindly give a demonstration of this idea in a song context. I grasp the theory, but I'd appreciate a practical demonstration of its use in a chord progression. Many thanks. So this is on a video I did a couple days ago, where basically I was just taking a chord, for instance D major, in the key of G, the 5 chord in the key of G, and talking about how it's special in that key, how it's really the major scale with the flat 7. You can think of the music theory if you want, but I think it's really helpful to do it as a shape, right? So I spent a lot of time just talking about the shapes, but didn't really give a great contextual example of a song. So let's do something in the key of G that's basically just D major to C major, and then D, C, G. It'll sound like this. Okay, so basically we just have 3 chords, and then there's riffing going on before and after each chord. Now, maybe a more popular example would be D, C, G, G, you know, D, C, G, then a riff after that, right? But we're not going to do something classic. This is 2023. We're doing the modern vibe of this. So it's really easy because, especially when you get into this voicing of a major chord, again, just like an A major chord voicing, but we're thinking of an A string rooted chord, which is the D, right? 5th fret on the A string. The root note is actually going to be the 7th fret of the G string. Then we can take its spot as just being 7, 9, 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10. And that flat 7 is what separates it from the major scale, right? So it's like, all right, I'm just thinking of kind of thickening up this D chord with something else going on, right? The next thing that you might want to do is actually add the D string note. So we're just going to take the 7th fret and the 9th fret because those are great double stop sections where I'm playing the D string and the G string. So I'm going 7, 9, but I'm also getting 7 on the G string together. So then, after you play like a D major chord, I can kind of explore this shape after the chord. And I think that's a great way to kind of like take an exercise and use it in the context of a song. And how that's different from C's position in this key, the 4 chord in any key, G, A, B, C, is we have the same thing. We can even start with that D string that's going 5, 7, and then start with your root note. 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. Which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It has a sharp 4 as compared to the major scale, right? So I think that's a really important distinction to make, and it's really easy to remember because they're symmetrical shapes, right? We have the D chord, and then it's just that kind of pentatonic whole step thing. But we get to the B and E string, and it goes a note, a half step, and a whole step, and repeated. Or, in the context of the 4 chord, a note, a whole step, and a half step. So again, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, and then 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10. And then you make these connections like, oh, the 7th fret and the 8th fret is where I can connect these two things, right? So whenever I'm on that D chord, C, right? And then it's like, oh, that C chord has kind of like a, that's a signature sound. You can say that that's like the Lydian in the key coming out, right? Just a name for the modes. But again, you know, the modes kind of turns people off a lot, so I don't like to throw mode talk in, you know, when we're just getting it on. Just thinking of a metaphor there. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Not throwing that dirty mode talk into a pentatonic video, but it definitely has a signature sound, right? Just like that, flat 7 has a signature sound over the D's chord, right? And all that is just from taking the one note that's special in the 5th chord's position There's the flat 7 in the 4 chords position. But all roads lead home to G, right? So, D. I really like double stopping up into the cool part, and then same thing with the C. Right? Let's see how I'm just doing that. And then just kind of making new chords out of what's special. Again, there's that sharp 4. And then leading back to the home chord in G, right? We've been playing the notes in G major. That's why it sounds so fitting. The resolution is still when we get back to that G. Which, if anybody tries telling you that Sweet Home Alabama is in the key of D, just come on. Come on, no, it's not. It's in the key of G. You could say it's in the key of D mixed Lydian if you want, but no. It's in the key of G. It's 5-4-1 in G. This is a 5-4-1 in G. The people's key. The 5, the 4, 5, 4, 1. You could even throw the other chords in. E minor. That's a 6-5-4. 6, E minor, 5, 4. How easy is that, right? I'm just doing like E minor 7 hammer on, and then my pointer finger's already there for the 5 chord. And again, all that's just from exploring really just kind of like 2 frets, right? I'm taking the 7th fret and the 5th fret, and really I'm just kind of messing around. Mess around, play E minor 7. Why not? 2023. Get that sharp 4 in, and then bring it on home to G. So hopefully that was a good enough actual contextual song version of what we were teaching in the video yesterday. Okay, so what are you playing for these comparisons, and how can I play those things? For what it's worth, I found the Taylor's sound to be the best. This is on a shootout I posted of a couple smaller acoustic guitars. I basically played the same song on the Taylor GS Mini, the Donner DAE Mahogany, and the Gibson LOO. And really got some interesting results. They're all the same brand new set of Elixir strings, so I thought it was kind of a good way to do a shootout. But a lot of people were asking about the actual song that I used to demo it, which is probably my favorite song to play, right? It's just like an E major 7 to a D major 9, and then C major 7 to E major 7 to A 9. And again, super fun one to play. It's an original song. It's called Reflex. I did a demo version of this song for this cassette tape release for Performer Magazine, which I'll link to you if you guys are interested in listening to it. I'll probably put that up online soon if you guys are interested. And I also do teach this song in its entirety on my Patreon. So if you really want to get all the good stuff about E major, check out that link and listen to the song. Let me know what you think. Have you experimented with A 432 Hertz? Not in any way of consequence. So if you don't know, 432 Hertz is like an alternate tuning that's supposed to like line up with like the physical world, I guess. I'm probably doing a bad job at describing it, but like, you know, like the human chest cavity resonates at a different thing. We usually tune our instruments to 440, right? So you can kind of tune everything just ever slightly so down, and it's supposed to be more in tune with it. All these benefits of it. I just think personally, I have a hard enough time keeping my own instrument in tune in just standard tuning that I'm not really ready to explore some kind of like supernatural tuning myself. Sean, a question on Elixir strings. How much difference in tone is there between 11s and 12s? I play 12s now, but my fingers get sore from playing a long time. Great question. And again, this is more for acoustics generally, using 11 or 12s. The funny thing is like when I first started on acoustic guitar, I would have 13s on them, right? And it's so funny how your ego and your attitude changes with experience. Because I remember I started out on like uncoded 13s, right? Like the hardest way for a beginner to ever learn guitar. Just like the pain of having to have that pressure down and hold it down without it squeaking or buzzing or whatever. And then it's like, oh, I can, and at the time I was like, coded strings are for punks, you know, just because like I'd only ever played uncoded trash thick strings. And then it's like, oh wow, elixirs are like way better in like every way for what I like, you know. And then it's like I went down to 12s and I was like, I'm a 13s guy. You know what I mean? I'm a real man. I play 13s. And then I went down to 12s for whatever reason, probably on accident. I probably ordered the wrong strings on accident. I'm like, wow, I actually like these better because they're easier to hold down and they still feel the same way. And then with 11s, it was the same thing. I'm like, nah. I'm a connoisseur of tone. I prefer the tone that the 12s give me without having the power of the 13s, right? I like having that extra gear that I can get to. Well, it's like I never really actually tried 11s. Then I had some issues with an acoustic guitar I was gigging with, and I was like, maybe I'll just put thinner strings on this because it was like buzzing. So I put Elixir 11s on that, and it was just the best. Like the tone didn't really suffer that much. There was a difference for sure, but it was so much easier to play for like marathon live sets that I was like, why did I never play 11s before? So in my own estimation, I'm probably overvaluing how much of a difference there actually is, right? Like yes, playing 11s versus 12s, there is going to be tonal difference, but I can't tell you what it is. You just have to do it yourself because it is a little bit of a compromise. Like, okay, this is going to be, easier, quote unquote, to play, but am I going to lose like my tone and like the body of it? I really don't think like a percentage point of a millimeter difference is going to have a drastic effect on your tone in a meaningful way. Now, yes, it will have an effect, but I think it's something that you really just have to try it. If you're thinking about it, try 11s. You're probably going to be surprised with how much like the 12s they actually do sound like. But again, that's just my own personal journey through the ego that I'm sharing with all of you. This lesson makes me have to pee for some reason. Stay hydrated, my friends. Yeah, vegan, no wonder you look so unhealthy. I just want to say, I'm not really forcing the veganism on things, but I do answer questions about it when people ask me. And it's funny, it's like, oh, do I look that unhealthy? I see a lot of unhealthy people out there. But hey, whatever. Just do what makes you feel good. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to play some beautiful guitar chords, maybe share my journey through string gauges, etc. And you can make your own decisions. I like the song a lot. Just curious about the G, as it looks like you're fingering it as a G minor or some sort of sus chord, but I see how those two fingers are anchored throughout the progression. So this is on another original song that I taught on my Patreon. Reminder, people like that one a lot, and it's actually kind of an easy one to play. It looks like this. So basically it's like an A minor 11, and really most of your ring finger and your pinky are anchored on the 5th fret of the G string and the D string, the D and G string, right? So the root note changes. And I really want to use this as just an opportunity to talk about a C suspended 2 chord versus like a G chord, right? So if a G minor chord would be 3, 5, 5, 3, 3, 3, right? But if you move your ring finger and your pinky down, well, then you're actually getting, a different suspended sound, but it's kind of cool because it's right in that same area where if I'm thinking of my root note as C, I have a C sus 2, right? But then if I have a G in there, I have a G with a C, G, A, B, C. You can think of that as a C sus 4, right? So every suspended 2 chord is another chord suspended 4 chord, however you determine the root note of the song. So again, of the chord, not the song. But that's why I think the lesson from that is really just if you find a chord that you like the sound of, just try changing the root note around, because you're probably making another chord that's like a valid chord. Oftentimes it's actually in the key. Another great example of that is like major 6 versus like major 9, right? I think this is like a C major 6 right here, where my middle finger's on the C, the 8th fret of the E string. I'm skipping the A string, and I'm getting the 7th fret of the D string, the 9th fret of the G string, and the 8th fret of the B string. Really great chord. And then you just move your middle finger down, and then you're getting a major 9 on whatever note this is. So again, straight down would be like an F. This is F major 9. Major 9 to major 6, right? So whatever you're doing, just try changing one thing about it, and it'll be pretty much like what you just played, but a little bit different. That's some sage advice and wisdom right there. Take that with you. All right, so listening homework, I was listening to some classic Muse. Butterflies and Hurricanes. Such an incredible song. I feel like I listen to mostly new music actually. I make a very conscious effort to listen to as much new music as I can. But sometimes I forget how much I loved like the core fundamentals of who I am, which is really Muse Absolution. So check out some classic Muse. And then if you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, the website, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot.